Hi, everyone. I'm Patrick Manning. I'm the author of Converting the Imagination. And I want to talk here about the issue at the heart of this book, talk about the crisis of meaning in our society today. So, I'm certainly not the first to diagnose this problem in our culture. In a general audience in 2019, Pope Francis said that the threat today for developed countries is the lack of meaning in life. So others have shared their thoughts about this, but I want to offer something of my own analysis here. So to begin, we as human beings are people who need meaning, who crave meaning. The famous psychologist and Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl said that human beings have this need for meaning that's stronger perhaps even than our desire for our physiological needs. That as human beings, we want to feel that our life has purpose and meaning. When we encounter suffering, we ask why. We want a reason. We want an explanation. We want to understand the world as we encounter it. And when we can't find an explanation, when the world doesn't make sense to us, we don't want to live, simply put. This is when people lose the desire to live, is when they feel that life has no meaning. So there has been a change in our culture in recent centuries. In the past, meaning was given to a much greater extent than it was today, or perhaps we could say that it was assumed. Most people just took for granted that life had meaning, that their life had purpose. And much of that meaning was, for most people, provided by their religious traditions, definitely by Christianity in the West. That gave people a sense of this world was here because God created it, and that gives us a purpose in this world. Things seem to be more clear. That's less the case today. We live in a world that many find to be very complicated. We live in a time where there are many mental challenges posed to us because we live in a world that is now more pluralistic, that we encounter people from different backgrounds, different perspectives, different beliefs, and that challenges our own beliefs or what we may have grown up with. We live in a time where things are changing at a rapid pace, where we kind of struggle mentally to keep up. And because of modern technology, especially modern media, social media, we are being constantly bombarded with information, with advertisements, with messages and images that are telling us different things about what is real and what isn't, about what's the best way to live our lives. And so the result of this is that a lot of us experience modern life to be quite overwhelming. This is even more challenging when we lack a mental framework or some sort of meaning framework to process it all, to sort it out, to make sense of it. And this is the situation that so many people find themselves in today, especially as more and more people are abandoning religious traditions, those traditional sources of meaning. People are going out into life without a default, without a framework for making sense of things, or they're trying to cobble one together as they go. And so it's not surprising to see the mental wear and tear that this has on people, the sort of psychological toll that it takes. Corresponding to this crisis of meaning in our culture, we're seeing a mental health crisis arise. And this was the case even before the COVID crisis, which is just exacerbating these mental health issues. One study shows that today, again, this was before COVID, About 1 in 4 young people suffers from some kind of diagnosable mental disorder or ailment. I've certainly seen this with many of my students, even some friends or people that I know. Young people they're so stressed out today. They deal with incredible levels of anxiety, other forms of mental illness. I hear this from my students that they just constantly feel overwhelmed. They can't make sense of things. They just see the world as a very scary, chaotic place, and it's hard to blame them. And it's not just young people. The Harvard psychologist Robert Kegan says that the world as we encounter it today places mental burdens on us that hardly any of us are equipped to deal with on our own. And so this is really a great need, perhaps the great need of the day, is to deal with this crisis of meaning, to help people meet the mental challenges of living in the modern world. And so this is a place where our religious communities can really step up and address a tremendous need. And this is part of what I hope to offer in this book, Converting the Imagination, is I'm laying out a vision of how religious communities, Christian communities, particularly through the work of religious education and faith formation, can address this tremendous need for meaning in our world today, and how we can go about the work of religious education in a way that is giving people access to a vision for life, giving them access to deep sources of meaning, and assisting people in what is now a constant work of trying to make sense of life as we encounter it.